Thanks for being here. And what can I say? You're going to really enjoy Panic's episode. When HBO approached us and said, we want to do a series, I thought, why don't we do something like Twilight Zone? That I grew up on Twilight Zone. And my mother actually introduced me to horror at a very young age. And I thought, yeah, let's do something. In Asia, we have so many rich stories about ghosts. And I told HBO, how about I get some of my friends, in Asia, and let's let them do a take on a famous ghost or creature or whatever from their hometown. And one of the things I had to emphasize with HBO is that I didn't want an English format series. It had to be mother tongue for all the different countries, So you'll see tonight we have A Mother's Love from Indonesia by Joko Anwar and Pope by Panek. Very different, and enjoyable, delicious. Say something.
I've never watched a horror film in my life. I don't like them. And I'm not scared of ghosts at all. I've never seen ghosts in my life. Many people have seen it. When we shot the film, you will see in the film that we shot it in an abandoned hospital. All of my crew members saw something or hear something all the time. I was the only one. I was the one who didn't see anything or hear anything. So it was for the rest of the crew. It was like a horror show. For me, it was just another day in the office. But it's good. And I think we'll come back for a Q&A.
Yeah, we'll be back to chat afterwards.
I think we'll be back for the Q&A. And the end credit is not that long, so you can stay.
Okay, we'll see you after. Back to the stage, Eric Khoo and Ratanaruang. So I guess let's just start by talking about when you came up with the concept. Like, what was the initial impetus? You mentioned a little bit in the introduction, but also like how you put the list of filmmakers together that you wanted to do this.
Yeah, because there are filmmakers that I really respect and authors in a way. So it was easy also because I know them all, and basically HBO they were keen on my choice. But seriously, I didn't really know what would turn out, and initially they asked me to do 8 episodes, and I actually had Philippines and Taiwan as well, but I thought, it's the first time I'm doing something of this scale, maybe just concentrate on 6, but looking back now and actually having all the directors have full, complete freedom in the execution, that's what really made the series special.
Yeah, I was curious. Like, did you do anything in the editing process? Did you look over the scripts? Anything?
Well,
essentially, you just send them money and say go.
We took the money from HBO, gave it to them, and they'd send the treatments over. We'd look at the treatments, and essentially, they were all very good to start off with, very original, and there was really not much. And in reality, also HBO, they were very good. They let us have carte blanche, and I think that really helped the series.
Panik, when he called you, was this the first idea you had? Like, where did this come from?
No, I told Eric that when he wanted me to join the project, I told Eric that I never watched horror film. I like I said in the introduction, I've never seen a ghost in my life. So horror does nothing to me. And so I told Eric that give me 1 week. If I can come up with some idea that I think would be good, then I would join the project. But if not, then I would say no, because I took it quite seriously, So in that 1 week, I thought of, because then I look at some horror films in that 1 week, to learn.
What did you watch?
Japanese horrors, the thing that people watch, that I don't watch. And then I realized one thing is that horror films are made so complicated, like the plot and things, because they try to trick audience into being scared. So the plot and the thing, the characterization, it's always very complicated, so that so that the audience can be tricked into being shocked or whatever. And I found that like I don't have that kind of level of or that kind of mind, to do something. So I thought, what about if we just tell everything really straight? Like we tell it exactly like it is. Some ghosts are just cannot scare some. Especially if you're from a different culture, you don't know that this is a ghost. So I thought maybe we just don't complicate things. We just like tell it really straight, and maybe that could work. And then I have this idea of instead of a ghost that would normally victimize people, but the people actually victimize the ghost. So I thought it could work. So I told Eric that I have this idea, it could work, and we wrote a treatment, and and then sent it.
But actually, I think maybe 5-6 years ago, we were at the Puchon Fantastic Film Festival, right? And we were drinking, we were talking, and then we were trying to get Thomas to help do like a little omnibus for the festival, and he had an idea at the time about a killer couch.
Really?
He goes, that's really good. I mean, one location, one couch. Small budget.
You could do it like $500.
That's a great idea. Does it eat you when you sit on it, or does it come after you?
No, when you sit on it.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I guess my question is, where did humor enter into it? Because obviously part of this is funny, and like part of your episode is funny, I feel, and I wonder if part of that is because while you take the project seriously, in some ways you don't take horror as a concept that seriously.
No, actually, we make fun of horror in that episode.
Yeah.
We make fun of it, like all the music and the over the top, and the red eyes and the jump scares and everything. We just make fun of it. And like I said, I find that when people do horror, they tend to complicate things, But in our case, we just want to be really straightforward. We just want to be really simple, but the humor is. I mean, come on, Michael. When you have an American guy talking to a ghost, it's going to be funny anyway. It's either American or French.
You made it more funny.
French would be a French guy would be as funny as because then he would debate about philosophical aspect of life. And it could then it would be funny anyway. In fact, we had to control the funniness of it because I thought HBO might reject it because if it's too funny, you're not supposed to be laughing actually when you're watching. You're supposed to be scared, So we kind of have to cut down on the being funny, Yeah.
I wanted to also ask, I've seen yours. I haven't seen all of them, but they all have an element of kind of socio-political reality. Some unfortunate realities of the place you're from, and I'm wondering, was that part of the mandate? Was that something that just came in when the scripts came in? Was that
I mean, if you look at the early Twilight Zone series, I mean, they were like different in terms of tone, and some of them had moral, social issues, whatever, right? And for me, it was more like to just tell the directors, just go with anything you want. I mean, even if it's a bit funny, it's fine. And we really wanted these 6 episodes to really be standalones and to shine individually. So when you look at them back to back, I mean, they're just all very unique. But I'd say definitely his is the funniest. And, you know, HBO loved it, which is great, you know.
They were like, make it funnier.
And they're making the full-length feature. Can you stretch it? Yeah, so that was pretty much it. But interestingly enough, watching them all back to back, right? Then there is this thing that's happening about parent and child, which was never part of it, you know. But now looking at every episode, that's that thing, some sort of subconscious thing or synchronicity was happening there. Yeah.
But then there's also a thing, especially, I mean, it's really clear in Joko's about class.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it's like a little bit in yours, and you know, I don't want to keep talking about it because I haven't seen it, but it's definitely existent in yours too. And I'm wondering if it's in the other 3 episodes. I'm wondering where that comes from and why you think that enters into the kind of the zeitgeist of what's going on.
Well, I mean, I'd say essentially, I mean, it's most of the father and child thing. You know, the class things, it's not so much in the other 3. Yeah. And anyways, you know, Joko, I mean, he really wanted to be here, but he's filming a superhero movie now. And then after that superhero film, he's got, I think, 3 more horror films back to back.
Original horror film.
Yeah.
The last thing Joko made was a remake of Phantasm. So just for context.
No, that's not true.
And the last, Satan Slaves, right? That made a lot of money in Indonesia. It was the highest grossing film of last year, and the highest grossing horror film ever. Yeah.
That was something they put on the back of the box to sell Satan Slaves on DVD here, but there's nothing like Phantasm. Satan Slaves, the original, is nothing like Phantasm.
We're being fact checked by the audience. But...
Yeah, I saw Satan Slaves and it's great. I just want to say that Jungle Island's a big hero. I'm a horror movie fan, but I love you too because I think your last 2 films are horror movies. I know you probably don't agree, but I think you outdid Joko, the master of horror. I think you outdid him tonight.
So I guess I'll take this opportunity to ask Panak. You know, you've said you haven't worked in horror before, but you've worked as a genre director for a long time, doing action, other things like that. Do you feel like there were elements of horror in anything you've done before?
Do I feel what?
Like, that there were elements of horror in anything you've done before?
Well, I made one film in 2007. It's called Ploy, and it's just basically a husband and a wife and a young kid and a young girl, and we lock them in the hotel room and they just quarrel for like 2 hours. And when I show it to my friends, my cast and my crew, and one of my friends who's a musician, he doesn't know much about movie, you know, he's just a musician. And so after we finished the screening, he came and he said, Penny, what kind of film is this? You know, like what would be the genre of you? I said, it's, to me, it's a comedy, you know, just to see the husband and wife quarreling for 2 hours. Right? And he said that, well, for someone who's married for 7 years, you know, it's a horror film. He said that. So I made a horror film without knowing it. I thought I made a comedy. And it's so I wouldn't say that things that I make have this kind of horror element, but suspense maybe. You know, like just like tension, suspense, you know, because I'm a fan of Hitchcock, you know, like I like Hitchcock films. So maybe it's more like suspense, element of suspense that I maybe in some of my films, but not horror really. I attempted one horror film called Nymph, and it just didn't work as a horror at all. It worked as something else, you know.
And I would ask the same thing of you, Eric, because your work is so varied in terms of genre. But, you know, some of it is very sweet in a way. So I was wondering what drew you to this for this project. Like, what made you go in that direction?
Well, you know, I think it's about getting older, and you know, my mother was a real horror cinephile, and she brought me to see, you know, all these ghost movies when I was a kid, and I think I've sort of gone like full circle, and I want to go back to this particular genre, and The movie that she brought me to when I was about 7 years old was It's Alive, a Larry Cohen film. And that really sort of like scarred me. And, I'm thinking maybe do a remake of that or something, and set it in Asia. Because in one of the episodes directed by Yu Hang from Malaysia, it deals with a toyo. It's a baby ghost, that you create out of a dead fetus. So that's going to premiere with Sang Woo's at Fantastic Fest. And Takumi and my episodes will be in Sitges. So that's pretty cool, I mean, to finally, go back to a genre that I really love and have these amazing directors. And hopefully we'll do more. You don't mind doing more?
We'll do food.
Food, yeah.
Just food movies?
We're going to do something
Well, you just
deliciously.
did a food movie, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And I think it's essentially ghosts and food. That's really what turns me on now.
That's all you're going to make from now on. That's the whole career.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to throw it out to the audience. Does anybody have any questions? It's quiet. They're all scared. Right here.
I had a question about the beginning shot of the. How did you guys do that?
So the question was about the first shot in Panic's film and how you achieved it.
The first shot.
Steadicam. Steadicam?
Oh, I can't tell you, because if I tell you, then you would know how it's done. Then you don't need me anymore. No, it's very complicated. It's very complicated. Don't even try it.
All right, right here.
I was wondering for your episode, why you use black and white and some things you use in color, so why you make the choice of not using full color or full black and white?
So the question was why you use black and white for your episode.
I don't know why I use black and white. It appears as black and white in my mind when I made the treatment to Eric, and it appeared as black and white in my mind, but I thought that because we also go back in the past of the ghost life and he was still alive, and I had to make some kind of distinction. So since I made the whole film black and white, so I had to make the past color, this kind of too distinct. And then I know it sounds like it's no logic at all, but that's my logic. And then since the ghost past is in color, we thought the American guy's past should also be in color. So every time he turns the album, it appears in colors about, his dead wife and, his uncle who's married to this Vietnamese woman. And so both of the characters' past are then becomes in color, But the black and white choice was almost like no choice, because I didn't even make that choice. It just appeared that way when I first wrote the treatment. But now you saw the film, you can't see this work in color. It's not possible, right?
Except for the eyes.
Right.
Yeah. Right here.
My favorite film this year was a film was done in Europe called Field Guide to Evil, and it was 6 up-and-coming hot directors too, and we were told the exact same thing, to make a regional folklore story. And I'm just wondering, what is this new sort of fascination with like paganism and folklore? Is it some sort of new trend that's happening?
So the question is, it's a reference to another film this year called Field Guide to Evil, which has a similar concept, and wondering if there's a recent trend towards paganism and folklore.
Well, I'm not aware of that series.
Yeah.
So actually, when we spoke to the HBO, that was 2 years ago, and I just really want to do something about Asia because the culture there is so rich in terms of ghost stories.
No, actually, when you call me, when you email me and saying that to ask me to join the project, I thought that this project is so obvious. Like, how come nobody did it before? It's very obvious, to do, like, invite directors from different countries to do their own goals. It's so obvious, but it never happened before.
Right here.
No, second shot.